Okay, so this is a story. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie Bree. This is a story I've been putting off telling because one, I don't know if my dad's ever gonna watch my YouTube channel, but I don't want him to know about this. But also, it's kind of like, I committed a crime, technically, and I don't know what the statute of limitations is on that. But when I was 18 years old, I stole my dad's car. And I don't mean when he was asleep, I took it to the, liquor store to pay some old dude to buy me beer. I mean, no, I lived 5 minutes from the liquor store. I never had to pay for beer when I was a teenager. I lived in a casino town. Beer was fucking flowing like water. It was so fucking easy to come by. No, when I was 16 years old, I dropped out of high school. And when my parents came home from school, we got in a big fight. And my parents basically said, if you don't go back to school and take the driver's ed class in school, we're not going to sign for you to get your driver's license. Because my dad had been teaching me how to drive, and we got in a fight, and he said, "I'm not teaching you how to drive. You gotta take driver's ed. They'll teach you how to drive." And so that was the deal. Well, I waited 2 years. I learned. I had friends teach me how to drive, and I learned a little bit by playing video games. Because I had a lot of steering wheel games, racing games, and stuff. That's not very very accurate. So don't do that. Don't teach yourself how to drive by playing Need for Speed. That's not smart. But I did have friends who let me take their cars out. We'd go out in the desert and drive around the dirt roads. And so I learned how to drive. And then when I turned 18, I didn't have a car because my dad wouldn't buy me a car until I got my license. That was the deal. I did have a job. The deal was get a job, get your license, and then I'll buy you a car, which he did. He kept his word. But he wasn't going to let me borrow his car. He said I had to get a friend or I had to, find another way. So one day, because he walked to work, because we lived 5 minutes from where he worked. One day, I just went into his bedroom, took the keys out of the dresser drawer where he kept them. Don't go sneaking in your parents' dresser drawer unless you want to be traumatized. Word of advice. And I drove his car down to the DMV. We didn't actually have a DMV. What happened was we were 100 and some odd miles from the DMV. We were a rural town, unincorporated. So the DMV came to us, I think, once or twice a month. They went to the public library. Well, it wasn't even a library. It was really like a public, I don't know if it was the public building, the community center or whatever. Because we didn't have a town. We were an unincorporated town, so we didn't even have like city hall or nothing. But anyways, I drove down to where the DMV was, went in, took the test, got my driver's license. Well, I passed the test. I got my permit. Went out using my dad's car that he did not know I took. I drove around town and passed my driver's exam, got my license. They laminated it and handed it to me over the counter right there. Gave me my driver's license, and I drove his car back home. And when he got home, I showed him my driver's license, and he took me to town and bought me a car. I lied and said one of my friends loaned me their car, who got their license the same day, which would have probably worked, except for my friend said no because their parents said no because of the insurance issue. So technically, I stole a car. I did take it right back, but teenagers stealing your parents' car isn't really Grand Theft Auto. It's just kind of you're gonna get grounded for a month if they find out, but you're not gonna go to jail for that most likely. If you do, your parents are dicks. Now, a month later, I came home from school because I walked to school because I lived, like I said, like 3 minutes. It was a 3 minute walk to school. It was like right there. It was just like almost across the street, just about. So I walked to school to save gas money because I only drove the car to town because we lived an hour away from town. And sometimes on the weekend, me and my friends would put on our favorites cassette mixtapes and drive around blasting our stereos, because we couldn't afford CD players for the car. So we would make mixtapes. And we just cruise around town for hours doing nothing but listening to music and horsing around. Sometimes drinking. We were dumb kids. But Anyways, I came home from school and my car was gone. I was pissed. Turns out my aunt, who had lived in town, moved to town from Nebraska. We were in Nevada at the time. Her car broke down, so she had to take it to the shop. And so, because her car was irreparable, or it was going to cost more money to repair it than it was to replace it, he gave her my car. Just like signed her the title, gave her the keys, and then that was that. Now, his excuse was, well, I bought it so I can do what I want with it, which is technically fair. But he had already given it to me, and I was 18 at the time. So I don't know if he knew about me borrowing his car that one day or not, or if this was like his way of getting back at me, or if it was just, hey, you know, you need a car. I actually happen to have a car just sitting in my driveway. I'm not driving. So he gave it to her. Whatever the case is, he did get me another car like a few months later. So I had to walk for a while. He ended up getting me another car. And then my sister bought a car, and then she abandoned it. She moved to Baltimore to live with her friends. That's a long story. And so she just left the car sitting there in the driveway. And so I went down to the car dealership and took over the payments. And she signed a letter saying that I could do that. And so I just took over her car. That was the first car I ever paid for with my own money. It was a piece of shit, little green, ugly as fuck Mercury Tracer, 1992. God ugly car. Just a little green ball of bullshit. Looked like a fucking giant booger driving around. It was an ugly fucking car. But I didn't care. It was my fucking wheels. You know what I mean? Stay cool.